Hey y'all, what's happening? So something just hit me, right? No, not just that Young Thug changed the world when he was on Lifestyle. I can't say because that was Rich homie Quan too. That wasn't just Young Thug. However, Young Thug did change the world with that man. I promise you, I know exactly where I was the first time I heard that shit. That was some shit. You had never heard nothing like that before. If that shit had never dropped and you tried to explain it to somebody in a parallel universe, if that shit had never dropped, what the song Lifestyle was like, would be like, how does that work? Like, he's just on the hook like, man, get it. Like, if you try to explain Lifestyle as a rap song to these people in this parallel universe that doesn't really exist, well, it might, we don't know. They wouldn't be able to understand it without hearing it. It's one of those songs, you feel me? The song changed the world. Little known fact, I just realized that the other day. But the bigger picture, what I realized today, actually just about 47.3 seconds ago, you know, the statues of the people, you know, who owned slaves being torn down and whatnot. Go back to 2020. I was cool with it, sorta. I wasn't, like, encouraging it, but I understood it, sorta. I don't know how it didn't, like, it just slipped my mind at that time. Like, yo, isn't that what happened when we went to Iraq? What did we do with all them statues of Saddam? Exactly that. Plus, it's like, here's the thing. All the people that want to say they want to do that because slavery, whatever, wouldn't you want to keep it there as a reminder to never let slavery happen again? And as a reminder for the good. George Washington, yeah, he was a slave owner. He did good shit, though, also. That was a bad thing, but it's not like that's all he did. You feel what I'm saying? And back in those days, it was like sort of how medical marijuana is. Like a huge region of the country participated in that shit. Up here, we didn't really do that shit like that. I mean, only the really rich could do that shit up here. Only the really rich. Down south though, that was like, it was, I remember like reading shit about like people who had gone to the south from like other countries and even from up north, and they're like, them motherfuckers is taking slavery to a level it really don't need to go to. They enslaving people who I'm pretty sure is damn near white. Now keep in mind, nobody should be enslaved, but this is how someone in the 1830s or was the 1830s, it was the 1817 somethings. I think it was the early 1800s. Went down to like fucking, he went down to like the Carolinas or the Carolina. He went down somewhere. He went down somewhere in the like south. I think it might have been in Tennessee even. And he said multiple times he saw like these red-haired people who like the people selling the slave at auctions, but not as auctioneers. They was being auctioned off, and they was like basically like gingers, he said. Now, they claimed that them people were in fact part black. Yeah, but people from like Europe said the people looked almost Irish. That's how ginger they was. Now, well, my big homies he's half black. But if you just looked at him and didn't know like who his dad was, you would really think he was white. If you just saw him in the Bing and like knew nothing about him, at first glance you would probably think he was a skinhead just because he's naturally bald at this age. He's old, bro. He's like in his like mid-30s. And he don't look black. Like he looked black once he said, because he can't vert him. Once he says it, and you look at his face when he says the shit, it all clicks. You're like, the facial features are there, it's just not the skin tone. And he has like a gingerish, it's like ginger, but like if the red hair was more auburn, it was more like a brownish ginger. It's not exactly ginger, but like I think a bunch of motherfuckers like him is what the people from Europe, when they went down south and saw like the shit that made them be like, no, this slavery shit is fucked up in America, bro. The South was taking slavery to like a level of like, bro, you're going too far. You're going too far. Like, keep in mind, slavery in itself is one of those moments. But Back then, Braveheart, bitch, yeah, the times was medieval. Motherfuckers ain't know no better. I mean, look at Gaddafi, right? Gaddafi, he really did a lot of good shit for Libya, but he also had a mindset of, if it ain't Libya, then fuck it. It don't really matter. I'll do right by my people. Fuck y'all people, though. Like, so that motherfucker would take this little boat up to, like, Egypt-ish area. Like, just get, like, a bunch of slaves from, like, all over the world who have been, like, either arrested or whatever the fuck, and brought to this, I guess, this slave buying area at, like, the top of Africa that still exists, I believe. This was existing as far as the 1970s go. And one of the biggest controversies about Gaddafi is that he engaged in it. But that he never, his defense was that he never sold no Libyans. And so, and he only bought slaves that, to make Libya better. So back on topic, right? I think what we need to do, especially in the cases of people like George Washington, is not tear down their statues. Not at all. Okay, if it was just some random ass motherfucker who was like the mayor of some little ass shit that no one even cares about, go ahead, tear it down if you own some slaves. But when it comes to people who really made America, because America's a great thing, man. America's a great thing. We can't let this destroy us. We can't. I don't think a lot of people realize the precipice that America as a country is on right now. It makes sense to me now why I came in the world at the time I did. Because of all the shit that's about to go on now. You get rid of all them statues, you get rid of all the records of slavery ever existing, right? I heard from my boy that his kids, is not learning about slavery in school. I said, so wait, you're tearing statues down for this, but you don't want to educate the kids to say this was wrong and should never happen again. In my eyes, it just looks like you trying to clean the slate. It just looks like you trying to clean the slate. Like, think about it like this. Like, the fact that slavery essentially is still going on in parts of the world today, but you want to talk about slavery that happened here hundreds of years ago, that honestly, the slavery that happened here hundreds of years ago sort of enabled that. I won't sugarcoat it. It did sort of enable that. As someone who's mainly Apache and Comanche native, I mean, honestly, if I could have it my way, shit would have never been took over by whitey, and it would have been left the way it was, But unfortunately, it is what it is. I wasn't born at the time. Well, in past life, I was. It affected my people and my heritage a fucking lot. It's some shit I wish it never happened. It's why I know I will never trust whitey, because it's like, bro, we trusted you one time and that shit went so left. That shit went so left. We thought it was going right, and it was going even more left. You feel me? And not to mention, like, we should have never been like going along with that 5 civilized tribe shit. If I was around those days and I was around the Apache or the Comanche, one of the real sick shits, you know what I'm saying? Because I know it's mainly my bloodline. Basically, and what happened then, they start only talking their native language within their tribe. When they do bigger business, they had to use the language of Cherokee or Sioux. It was some whole backward shit, right? The 5 civilized tribe. We should have never bought into that shit, really. But whitey comes along. He's like, yeah, yo, look at this. This is how we can do this. And look, it's great. It's great. And we ain't know no better. So here we are, 300-ish, 400-ish years later. All that shit's been sorted out. It's been a lot of trials and tribulations. And I see a lot of motherfuckers that want to talk about shit being racist, or they want to talk about how bad slavery was. But those same motherfuckers is the type of motherfuckers who will call the cops in a white neighborhood because 2 black guys don't know where they're going in their car. So they stop the car to go, you know what I'm saying, check the GPS and call where they're going and ask for directions. You know, the same people who will try to tell your kids shit, you know, about this country is the same people leaving out teaching them about slavery. And that's not right. That's not right. That's not right at all. And it was like I'm shocked. It took me this long for it to like hit me. I'll be like, that's why didn't I think this earlier? Like I should have said like put like this. The first thing I thought was like, isn't that what we did to Saddam statues? That is almost like if you were doing the same thing here that we did in Iraq. The only difference was that you're doing it in a, I guess, subtler way. Doing it without the invasion. You know what I'm saying? It's basically like, okay, we're just gonna take this statue out. Like, and here's my thing, right? I totally agree with it. When it's just a motherfucker who is regarded as great for basically no reason, and the only thing you can really find on him is this dude sold it and had massive amounts of people from Africa that he basically kidnapped and stole and forced to live on this plot of land here. You know, especially if you get into some shit where after he wasn't allowed to do that,
he took some people's 40 acres and a mule, multiple of them, to, you know what I'm saying, because he was mad he couldn't have his little hustle no more. That was the only thing he was good at hustling.
Yeah, those people's statues, you know, which there tend to be a lot more of in the South. I have no problem with you going and doing the Saddam Hussein and yanking that shit down with a truck. No problem with it. Now, when it comes to people like George Washington or Thomas Jefferson, that's a little different, bro. It wouldn't be that much different if slavery wasn't like the medical marijuana of that time, where like, keep in mind, not every state was doing it. I don't think up here, like in Connecticut and shit, we're really doing it like that. I think, put it like this, I believe if I remember right, there was, at first, before it was abolished, it was like, up here there was such a crazy tax on it that like, people wasn't even doing it unless they were rich. You know, and then you start seeing it less and less, and then finally, once we were in the war, like, that became, like, I guess, Abraham Lincoln's, like, little extra piece. It was like, okay, now we gonna whoop their ass. Okay, but if we win, we're gonna get rid of some slavery, too. And it's no secret that a lot of people didn't like that he did that. Mainly Democrats. You can't find no other president on no other piece of U.S. money that's facing the wrong way. You can't find no other coin that's colored that color. The only bill you see him on, what is it? Is it a 5 or a 2? I forget who's on. I think it's a 5. A 5 or a 2? It's one of the two, though. I know it's not a 10. So they purposely put him on like the lowest denominations of shit. He's on literally the lowest denomination of American currency, going the wrong way. Like, you feel me? It was like one of those off-script things. I think that at the time, he ain't tell nobody he was doing, and he just sort of did it. And shortly after that, he got assassinated, but the wheels was already in motion. My upshot is this, man. We as Americans, man, we need to stop doing this, like, I guess, like, this type of, like, it's weird. I don't have a word for it. What they're doing is pandering. I guess that fits. But they're pandering in some sort of way that seems to potentially work as some type of, like, Jedi mind trick. Where, like, them getting all these people to go around tear down the statues, it's not like they're pandering to them people, right? But in doing so, them people are helping create a generation that has no idea about slavery and could easily get trapped into that. It's beyond hypocritical, because when people are hypocritical, they're not usually meaning to be. This seems like the intent is to be hypocritical in order to get some type of advantage in some type of, like, pulling the wool over on somebody by, like, being overly more than hypocritical, like, intentionally. Like, that's, I almost look at it and I said, there's something very sinister about this. People are not doing this because they really want to do good for black people. And just think about it. I'm out this bitch, man. Just think about it.